Hello there. My name is Jason Jensai. Welcome to Star Wars Duels. This episode is Maul vs. General Grievous. Star Wars Duels is a series where I analyze two Star Wars characters' tactics, mentality, and power, and explain what I think would happen if those two characters fought each other. The battlefield for this duel will be the spice mines of Kessel. While we watch, leave a comment about the video, the channel, or Star Wars. Darth Maul is a warrior. He is powerful and cunning. Although he was never as brilliant as his master, he learned how to control people to further his own goals. In a very short time, Maul went from an insane man with nothing but his life and his hatred, to the ruler of Mandalore and the leader of the Shadow Collective. At the height of his power, Darth Sidious deemed it necessary to deal with Maul personally. Maul learned from his master. He is an excellent strategist, but in combat, his tactics are not as impressive. Maul likes to control the fight. If he is outmatched or overwhelmed, Maul will retreat to a location that gives him an advantage. Maul's greatest flaw is his arrogance. All but one of Maul's defeats come from overconfidence. In Episode 1, he thought he defeated Kenobi, so he let down his guard. That mistake cost him his legs and his place as a support, but he didn't learn. In both his defeats against Kenobi in the Clone Wars, he thought he had him outnumbered, but Kenobi managed to find an ally. Of course, Sidious beat him fair and square because he's powerful. But in Rebels, Canon defeated him because he didn't think of Canon as a real threat. Maul's final defeat against Kenobi was because he arrogantly believed he could kill Kenobi the same way he killed Kenobi's faster, but Kenobi was ready for it. Maul controls the fight, but he often lets his arrogance control him, which leads to mistakes. Maul is a powerful Force user. In the final season of the Clone Wars, he tore apart the hyperdrive of a Venator-class Star Cruiser. This does not mean that Maul could just rip Grievous to pieces with the Force. Like most Force users, Maul's greatest feats require a few seconds to breathe and stretch out with the Force before unleashing his power. In combat, Maul uses much less power. Maul uses the Force to open doors and create escape routes, or knock his opponent backward a few meters. Although Maul never begins his fights with a Force attack, several of his fights end with a well-placed or desperate Force push. Maul prefers to use his lightsaber rather than his Force abilities. Which is why Maul is an impressive swordsman, but he is also talented in weaponless combat. Part of the reason why Maul's attacks are so overwhelming is because he uses both his blades in addition to both his feet, a fist, a saber hilt, and even his head, which is covered in horns. Maul's entire body is a weapon. Maul is extremely tough. He survived getting chopped in half. That alone demonstrates extreme toughness. But it's not all. In his battle with Pre Vizsla, Maul gets pummeled the entire time. Pre Vizsla uses every trick in the book, and the Mandalorians have a really thick book. During the fight, Maul barely avoids grenades, he gets singed by a flamethrower, sliced by sharp projectiles, and pummeled in the face several times. But Maul does not stop. If anything, he simply fuels himself with the pain. Despite Vizsla's armor, Maul demonstrates more toughness than the Mandalorian leader. Maul is a quick fighter. He was able to overwhelm Qui-Gon, and he nearly kept up with Sidious before being forced to his knees. Maul can separate and dispatch his enemies very efficiently. The reason Maul is so quick is because he is aggressive. His aggression puts his opponent on the defensive, which means they are reacting to him, and he can choose where to attack. Maul is also quick because he is very skilled. Maul isn't skilled in the same way Dooku is. He isn't precise and poised, he is smooth and flowing. Maul can chain several attacks together extremely smoothly. His opponents are going to be overwhelmed by constant attacks from every angle. Maul is a deadly fighter who smoothly chains his attacks together to overwhelm his enemies. General Grievous is a Kaleesh warrior, but before the Clone Wars, he was nearly killed and forced to become a cyborg. However, Grievous's injuries are what allowed him to become so powerful. Without the limitations of his former body, Grievous was able to become stronger, tougher, and faster, and in addition, he has 4 arms. Although Grievous has killed many Jedi, most of the time he uses his Magna Guards or his commando droids to help defeat the Jedi. In the Clone Wars, General Grievous' dueling strategy is almost always the same. As Grievous attacks with his lightsabers, he will use his reinforcements to keep the Jedi from moving too quickly. While his reinforcements keep the Jedi in place, Grievous overwhelms them with his 4 lightsabers. However, usually before that happens, the Jedi will blast Grievous back with a Force push. When Grievous loses the upper hand, he will not take any chances. He will order his reinforcements to attack. By the time Grievous orders the attack, the Jedi has gotten used to the reinforcements just standing there and will be caught off guard and quickly captured or killed. When Grievous fights alone, he still tries to overwhelm his opponent, but instead of ordering his reinforcements to attack, Grievous will run away, like he always does. If Grievous can't escape, he would simply try to overwhelm his opponents despite the risk. Grievous' strategy is straightforward and cowardly, but it is usually effective. Grievous has no force powers, so that is his biggest weakness. Fortunately for Grievous, he is extremely durable. Instead of skin, Grievous has armor plating, which can resist blaster fire, electro stabs, and physical attacks. If Maul tried to punch, kick, or headbutt Grievous, Grievous would not be injured. Maul can grapple Grievous or knock him off balance, but he cannot hurt him without a lightsaber or a really big object. Most force powers that can't be blocked by a lightsaber don't affect Grievous very much. For example, a force push, unless it's a really powerful one, wouldn't injure him, he would simply get knocked backwards. Unlike most tough characters, Grievous is very fast. Not only does Grievous have 4 arms, but his wrists can rotate blindingly fast. The only limit on Grievous' speed is his mind, which is why oftentimes you see Grievous' 2 extra lightsabers just hanging backward, because his mind isn't fast enough to keep up with his incredible body. In his duel with Kenobi, Grievous dents the hull of a starfighter with a punch. Not only does this demonstrate his durability, it also reveals his strength. Both Maul and Grievous are aggressive fighters. They try to overwhelm their enemies through sheer speed and determination. The question is, who would overwhelm the other? Who will control the fight and become victorious? Before I reveal who I think would win, tell me in the comments, who do you think will win? And if you enjoyed the analysis, hit the like button. Let the battle begin. General Grievous and Maul face off in the middle of the dusty landing zone. Grievous ignites his lightsabers and begins to twirl them around to throw off and confuse Maul. Maul responds with an uppercut that knocks Grievous' blades out of the way. As Maul twirls around and stabs with the second blade, Grievous twirls his second set of blades to intercept Maul's jab. Grievous slashes at Maul, but Maul parries. Before he can attack again, Maul is forced to duck under another of Grievous' rapid attacks. Maul blocks 2 more quick attacks before leaping over a third and kicking Grievous in the face. As Grievous staggers back, Maul rushes forward. Maul swings low, twists his second blade into an uppercut, slashes across with one blade, then on the other side with his second blade. Maul fakes a third slash with his first blade, but switches to a downward stroke with his second blade. Grievous finally gets off a counterattack, but Maul knocks both of Grievous' blades upward before twirling his lightsaber over his head and driving Grievous backward. Grievous steps back to avoid the crimson blade. As Maul ends his flourish, Grievous steps forward, swinging his lightsabers one after the other. Maul twirls his blade around, deflecting the constant onslaught of Grievous, until Grievous knocks Maul back with a powerful kick. Grievous rushes towards Maul, but Maul throws Grievous back with a force push. Grievous falls to the ground and scuttles into the mines. Maul smiles as he strides after his enemy. Maul won the first round, but Grievous knows that a retreat is never the end. Maul walks through the tunnels considering the terrain. The dozens of pipes lining the corridors could be used as distractions if he couldn't break through Grievous' guard. The tight corridors would prevent Grievous from using as chaotic of strikes as he usually does, but they would also stop Maul from outflanking Grievous. Suddenly, Grievous rushes around the corner towards Maul. Grievous activates 2 lightsabers and attacks. Maul whirls around and reflexively begins parrying Grievous' vicious strokes. Grievous keeps his 2 blades twirling around him as he swings his arms towards the Zabrak before him. Maul ducks and dodges and deflects every one of Grievous' attacks while threatening to catch Grievous with an unpredictable twirl of his double-sided blade. Grievous attacks from both sides. Maul leaps back, lunges forward, and shoves Grievous' blade toward the ceiling. With a quick spin, Maul slashes several pipes, which begin spewing gases all over Grievous, distracting him from Maul's sudden kick to his knee. Grievous' stance falters. Before Grievous can regain his footing, Maul knees him in the chest, knocking him to the ground. Grievous swings his lightsabers around in confusion. Maul skillfully slashes off one of Grievous' wrists. Yet again, Grievous scuttles away. This time, he is really scared. But fear is better than overconfidence. Maul follows Grievous deeper into the mineshaft. When he arrives at an intersection, he simply uses the Force to choose the correct path. Grievous reaches a dead end. He turns around just as Maul walks around a bend and into view. Grievous realizes that he cannot run. He must fight. Grievous activates a blue lightsaber and leaps towards Maul. Maul steps backward to avoid the attack and reflexively counters with 2 high strikes and a low strike. Suddenly, Grievous separates a second arm and draws a green lightsaber. Maul is caught off guard and barely avoids Grievous' vicious blades. As Maul hastily retreats, Grievous trips Maul with a powerful kick and slashes his lightsaber in half. Maul hits the ground, rolls away from Grievous' whirling blades, and unleashes a powerful force push. Grievous flies back into the mineshaft, but is barely phased. Maul force pulls his damaged saber and the saber from Grievous' belt. Maul activates the blue and red lightsabers as he growls in frustration. Grievous prepares for the attack. Maul swings across with both lightsabers, but at the last second switches his blue saber's trajectory. Grievous blocks Maul's red saber, but is forced to leap backward to avoid Maul's blue saber. Maul lunges forward to continue his attack. This time, Maul feints low with his blue blade, before again bringing his red blade down on Grievous. As Grievous blocks the strike, Maul slashes off one of his wrists with his blue blade, and knocks Grievous back with a kick. Grievous tries to regain momentum with a quick swipe with his leg, and a slash of his blade, but Maul steps forward, blocks Grievous' green lightsaber with his blue one, and stabs the cyborg in the stomach with his red blade. Grievous is incredibly fast and strong, but Maul is almost as equal in that regard and surpasses Grievous with his reflexes and his skill. Grievous' ability to wield four blades is impressive and deadly, but Maul is also an expert at attacking from several different angles. Even though Maul is not a true master of the Force like Dooku, Sidious, or Yoda, his powers give him a significant edge against Grievous. Grievous' body is armor, which makes him incredibly durable, but Maul has mental toughness, which means he will keep fighting through his injuries. Although Grievous has the edge in several areas, Maul has a warrior spirit and a connection to the Force itself. So with that, thank you so much for listening to my thoughts about Maul versus Grievous. It is an awesome battle that was genuinely exciting to write. I love making this content, so if you want to see more, hit the subscribe button. And if you aren't ready to subscribe quite yet, check out my playlist of Star Wars duels. And if you have friends who love Star Wars, share the video. I want this channel to be a community of fans, not just me talking to a microphone. So now that I've made the video, it is your turn. Tell me in the comments, who do you think would win? How much of an advantage does multiple blades give a warrior? And what is your favorite faction in Star Wars?